So as we wind down our time together today, my friends, I'd like you to just think about the answer to one final question. What are you willing to do that no one else is willing to do, that actually differentiates you in the marketplace, that gives people a reason to choose you, not just someone who does what you do? And to answer that question, may I invite you into my most personal life and tell you a little bit about my family. My dad's my hero. He was a cotton farmer down on the east side of Phoenix, Arizona, and became very, very successful. In the early 1960s, he started his own insurance company, became very, very successful, started his own financial corporation. My dad, he inspired one of the best songs I've ever written. It was called Special Man, used to get a lot of radio play. Lyric hook, any male can be a father, but it takes a special man to be a dad. That's my dad, my hero. Never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. My mom, the greatest mom who ever lived. The youngest of 9 children, raised by a single mom. I love my mom. Anybody here raised by a single mom? Anybody here a single mom? Yeah, we love you. We honor you. We support you. My mom is 88 years of age, and to this day, she still inspires me. I wish she could teach me how to talk a little better. She still inspires me. The other day, she goes to the doctor for her annual physical, and the physician says, "Ruby, you need more exercise." So she signed up for an aerobics class for seniors. And sure enough, she bent over, jumped up and down, twisted and turned, perspired for over an hour. But by the time she got her leotard on, the class was over. And my mom's on the front row. That's not funny. That's not true. I love my mom. Never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. My older brother Sam, 4 degrees from major universities. That's sick. Little overkill, don't you think? And not only was he a graduate of 4 universities, he was the valedictorian. He was the valedictorian of his high school. He was the valedictorian in the nursery. And I was not on the honor roll every time. One time I came home with a report card, had 4 Fs and 1 D on it. My dad's response, "Son, looks to me like you're spending too much time on one subject." Yeah, I love my dad. He got me. He gets me. My older brother, very successful business owner, business operator, never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. My older sister, Deborah, a very, very accomplished realtor, graduated from the university in fashion, merchandise, and design, so that's why she sells real estate. Never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. Younger brother, Paul, MBA, whoa. Hugely successful investment banker, lives in the East Bay of California. Never an athlete, dark hair, dark eyes. And then there's moi. The only athlete, 6'5", blonde, blue eyes. Can you see my parents in a social setting? So what does your son Dan do? Oh, he talks. We're so proud. Any of you relate? Well, let me just reaffirm a message that we talked about earlier, and that is when we identify ourselves in terms of what we do instead of who we are, we become a human doing instead of a human being. Unacceptable of significance is what we seek. And therefore, to fully and honestly answer our question, what are you willing to do that no one else is willing to do, that differentiates you in the marketplace, that gives you that competitive advantage? We've got to compete against ourselves. And that's why I want to take you to the day where I came to grips with my mortality. You see, my dad, he battled cancer for 6.5 years. And for some reason, I wanted to be by his bedside when he took his last breath, and that didn't happen for me. I was up in Seattle, Washington, the northwestern United States. I was in town for 2 days to make 2 speeches to 2 large trade associations downtown at the convention center. I'm staying out of town at the Seattle Airport Marriott Hotel. It's Friday morning, October 12th. I've showered, I've shaved, put on my coat, put on my tie. I'm ready for the day. Phone rings. I think it's my ride downtown to the convention center, so I pick up the phone and I almost flippantly say, "I'll be right there." But for some odd reason, I just stood there. 15 seconds of silence later, my younger brother's voice pierces the quietness of the call. "Danny?" I said, "What's up, Paul?" He said, "Dad died this morning at 7 a.m. I said, "Whoa." And I sat down at the edge of my bed, and the tears just started to fall. Let me interrupt. I'd give anything to have my dad back one more day. It's too late. I have regrets, and I don't wish regrets on anyone. As an author, I love to interview people, and my favorite interview was always with an elderly person, elderly meaning someone older than me. And they will always remind us they do not have regrets for things they did do. They only have regrets for things they did not do. Will you? And it ties us back to how I began our time together today in this opening kickoff keynote. Time. Today you've never been this old before, and you've never been this young again. You'll never be this young again. So right now, and every right now matters. Whoa. I said to my brother, how's mom? He said, she's all right. I said, give her a big hug and a kiss for me, will you please? Tell her I'll phone her as quickly as I can. And then he asks me the gajillion-dollar question. What are you going to do? And I've already amended the question for us today. What are you willing to do that no one else is willing to do? I said, Paul, Dad and Mom have spent an entire lifetime teaching us to keep our promises, to keep our commitments. I said, I need to go speak. That's what Dad would want me to do. I said, I can't imagine what it would be like to be a meeting planner with a 90-minute slot to fill 3,500 people in the audience and not have the speaker show. I can't leave people hanging. Can you? And I said, you know what? I'm going to go speak today, and then I'm going to keep my promise for tomorrow, so I'm going to spend the night. And then I'm going to speak on Saturday morning. I'll hustle home. God knows I need your support. Hopefully I can give you some of mine. I hung up the phone with my brother, and I sat there and I openly wept like a wee child. This is my dad. Truly, truly my hero. 15 minutes later, the phone rings again. This time it is my ride. I tell him I'll be right down, and I go into the washroom. I splash some water on my face, try to freshen up to the best of my ability. I leave my hotel room, and I get on the elevator. And as the elevator doors start to close, the corner of the Bellman's cart nudges its way through the opening, and they bing back open. And on the elevator walks a way overzealous Bellman pushing his cart. He forces me back to the right rear corner of the elevator, and I assume the elevator position. The doors close and we start going down, and this Bellman is relentless. Whoa! Did you see the beautiful sunshine? He said, I've lived up here in Seattle, Washington, 15 years, rained every single day, and must have brought the good weather with you. How are you doing? I said, I'm fine. You know when someone's been staring at you for a while and you don't even have to get eye contact, you can just kind of feel it, just kind of sense it? All of a sudden he says, hey, mister, you're not fine. You've been crying. I said, yeah. I said, I just found out my dad died this morning, and I'm really sad. Bellman says, whoa. Elevator comes to the lobby, doors open, he goes his way. I meet my ride. He drives me downtown to the convention center. I'm introduced, and I make my speech. I had to dig deeper than I'd ever dug in my whole entire life to make that speech. But remember, if you get nothing else out of my message today, it's really clear you can if you think you can. We can do anything we need to do when it's not expected by others, but it's demanded of ourselves. I got to the end of my speech, and I said to the audience, I'd like to conclude with a little song from one of my albums. And I said, the reason why I want to sing this little song is because my dad died this morning, and it's the first time he's ever heard me sing it in public. And again, I dug deeper than I'd ever dug in my whole entire life, and maybe sang the song better than I'd ever sung it. I concluded my speech, and I had the driver take me to the Seattle Aquarium. Am I now a hypocrite? I've honored our troops. I've honored those who are willing to run towards the sound of the guns so that we can go to the mall. Are you serious? Am I now a hypocrite saying I can't handle change? I can't handle disappointment? You've heard about my football injury. Oh my gosh, I can't take it. Give me a cocktail. Give me a minute. Give me a tissue. No. I had the driver take me to the Seattle Aquarium to create a meeting. You see why I believe in our time together? You see why I absolutely know that one moment in time changes our lives forever? That in a 60-minute keynote, if we allow it, we can leave this conference center different than we were when we arrived. And then take action on everything that you've learned and experienced during these few days together. So I'm at the aquarium, and I'm watching the fish swim, and I'm watching the otters float on their backs. They reminded me of some of the offensive linemen I used to play football with. And that's the time in my life where I started coining phrases that made sense, like pain is a signal to grow, not to suffer. And once we learn the lesson the pain teaches us, the pain goes away. So in life, there's no mistakes, only lessons. How about crisis does not make or break the man or woman? It just reveals the true character within. It's not what happens to us. It's what we do with what happens to us that matters. Or maybe one of my all-time favorites. If you sit around wondering if the glass is half empty or half full, you miss the point. It's refillable. Thinking positively or thinking negatively doesn't fill up the glass. The pouring does. As I would say, it's easier to act our way into positive thinking than it is to think our way into positive action. It's not the sugar that makes the tea sweet, it's the stirring, it's the process. And as we go all the way back to the beginning of my remarks, it's the proven process of time management, of committing to stretching beyond that point of discomfort. So having learned the lessons and having come to grips with my mortality, so sad that my dad had passed, I had the driver take me back to the Seattle Airport Marriott Hotel. And here's where you come into my story. Here's where you come into my remarks. I walk into my hotel room, and there on the dresser of drawers is a basket of fruit. And it's not your basic basket of fruit that's been delivered from the hotel gift shop. We've all seen these little color cellophane, little bow, little sterile stamp card. They never get our names right. Thanks for staying with us, Sergio. This was the coolest gift I'd ever received. It was a broken, smushed basket. One side was completely caved in. Looked like it was someone's second thought, maybe after hours, no resources available, but they still wanted to make a difference. Can any of you relate? I can see this hotel employee walking through the lobby of the hotel. They look in the garbage bin. They're like, oh, whoa, that's too good to throw away. Whoa, Bill Marriott will be really proud of us. Do more with less. They retrieved it and took it to my hotel room. Whoever delivered it obviously was into presentation because they turned the broken, smushed part of the basket towards the wall. And apparently whoever delivered it also walked past that big fake tree in the lobby, yanked off one of those fine rubberized leaves, stuck that in front of the broken, smushed part of my basket. In my basket of fruit, there was a tomato and a big giant carrot and a handwritten card that said, Mr. Clark, I'm sure sorry your dad died. I'm supposed to get off work at 5 o'clock. I've asked to stay on all night long so I can be here just for you. Room service closes at 10 o'clock. The kitchen has agreed to stay open all night long so they can be here just for you. If you need anything, just call and ask for me. Signed, James, the bellman in the elevator. He's not the only one who signed my little card that day. Every single hotel employee that night at the Seattle Airport Marriott Hotel signed my little card. I still have it matted and framed, hanging on my office wall to this day. May I debrief and conclude? Here we have the lowest paid person in the entire employee payroll who seemingly gets it and has fully and finally answered in his mind and in his heart and through his actions what he is willing to do that no one else is willing to do. Which means money's not a motivator. Here we have the lowest paid person and the youngest person in the entire employee payroll who seemingly gets it. Guess what? Age has nothing to do with becoming successful or especially transforming our lives from successful to significance. And the last thing I learned from this 18-year-old young man, James, loyalty. Loyalty. The greatest sales force on our planet are former customers, satisfied customers who become our army of sales professionals, giving referrals and recommending that their friends and family and coworkers and associates engage us in our services, in our products and services. You see, loyalty is so key. Every single time I speak, I'm always relegated to stay at the property where they have the meeting. And most of the hotels that we stay in during these conferences are obviously really posh. In fact, this hotel, my room is so posh, and I'm sure yours is too, and I thank you for your hospitality. The towels in my room are so fluffy, I'm having a hard time getting my suitcase closed. Are you finding that, President? But every single time I speak in Seattle, Washington, I always stay at the Seattle Airport Marriott Hotel. Even if I have to rent a car, drive an hour and a half out of my way at my own expense. Why? To pay tribute to this young man, to pay tribute to the brand of Marriott, to pay tribute to Bill Marriott's famous MO. When you take great care of your employees will take great care of the customers. And when the water in the lake goes up, all the boats rise together. I challenge you to sift through the messages of this experience and figure out how it applies to your life so that when you leave here, you accept my challenge to do something that no one else is willing to do. With the reminder, competitive advantage doesn't come by doing more than our competition. Competitive advantage is always created and sustained by doing what our customers and our competition are not willing to do.